Few athletes in the world have dominated their sport quite like Usain Bolt. The Jamaican legend is known for his utter supremacy over the 100 and 200 meter sprint. For the best part of a decade, he was the only show in town at track and field events, dominating with consummate ease. In fact, it would be hard to find another athlete who was quite so far ahead of the competition. This video is brought to you by Runners Athletics, makers of the best running sunglasses for men and women. No slip, no bounce, these ultra-lightweight sunglasses won't move no matter the challenge. Gear up for your next adventure at runnersathletics.com. Bolt brought life to the athletics world through more than his incredible sporting prowess. His exceptional, larger-than-life personality and immense confidence made him easy to love. Free from the stony-faced arrogance that has hobbled other athletes' public image, Bolt was different. Relaxing and easygoing, he would just as commonly be seen interacting with race day officials as he would be dancing on the line before going on to win. If you watched Bolt in his prime, though, you would realize that for all the bravado and all the fun, this was a guy who was serious about success. In fact, go through showpiece photos of his career and you'll find many a photo of Bolt racing by his stern-faced competitors wearing a massive smile. Yet it wasn't always this easy. At one stage in his career, Bolt wasn't the undisputed king of the track and field world. We've seen numerous victories, world records, and spectacular settings. What then was his moment? Every major athlete has them. The moments in time and history where they are immortalized as one of the best of all time. For Bolt then, when did it arrive? What was the event that turned him into the GOAT? When did the Jamaican go from being an impressive prospect to the undisputed champion of his athletic field? Like many of the best in the world, we need to go quite some way back to find that key moment. And with Bolt, we're going back nearly 2 decades, to 2002. Back then, Bolt was a 15-year-old who had shown immense promise in domestic and international competition. At 15, he was hitting incredible times in major competitions. He was even beating athletes 4 to 5 years his senior. In 2002, though, we saw the beginning of what would become an incredible legend. Let's head back to the 2002 World Junior Championships, where Bolt was able to claim a maiden international win in the 200-meter final. He did so with a time of 20.61 seconds, the youngest gold medal in the event of all time. And despite claiming massive nerves before the race, it was a clutch burst at the end of the event that took Bolt to the top. Indeed, that one moment in 2002 has become one of the most iconic of his career and set the tone for what was to come. His dominating 6'5" frame gave him a genuine chance at just about any time, sure, but there have been many tall runners. Few of them could match the achievements of this young Jamaican. So was 2002 his key moment? Well, it was one of them. And while his flagship wins in 2008 and 2009 might really set the bar for the GOAT himself, this wasn't his crowning glory. For Bolt to be considered the best of all time, it would take even more than his world record-setting pace back in Beijing in the 2008 Summer Olympics. These were hugely impressive moments, sure. But the moment that made Bolt the legend he is today? 2015. We need to head to 2015. Why? Because this was one of the most challenging and demanding periods of this great man's career. Coming into the 2015 season, Bolt was beset by major injuries that had curtailed his 2014 season. He missed around 9 weeks of training, leaving him heading into the remaining of the 2014 calendar out of condition. It meant that heading into the 2015 championships, he had run just a handful of races. His performances, too, were simply out of kilter with what we had come to expect from Bolt. He was finishing in poor positions across much of 2015, with poor performances in the likes of America, China, the Czech Republic, Jamaica, and Brazil. Heading into the 2015 championships, he was marked as the 20th fastest sprinter in the world. 20th! It was an unprecedented drop, and it left fans worrying that the glory days were over. He looked weak, unable to compete at the top, and struggling to match up with the newcomers to the scene. The name that was most commonly mentioned as the usurper to his throne then was Justin Gatlin. Gatlin was another 100-meter and 200-meter specialist who had a wonderful trophy haul of his own. Entering the late peak of his career, Gatlin expected to rise back to the top after success in the 2005 World Championships, winning both the 100-meter and 200-meter. With Bolt looking weak, the Americans saw his chance. Having been banned for 4 years after a testosterone-related ban in 2006, He had returned in 2010 ready to compete at the top level once again. Having seen Bolt destroy his records and leave him chasing his tail, Gatlin was desperate to try and make up for lost time. Indeed, in 2014, he had hit seasonal bests of 9.77 for the 100 meter and 19.68 for the 200 meter. It left him in wonderful competitive form and looking far ahead of the out-of-sorts Bolt. Heading into the 2015 season with world-leading times, he declared that "I am going to win on live TV with TMZ Sports." As the season progressed, though, Bolt fans were worried that Gatlin was right. Bolt, who used to breeze the 10-second mark for the 100 meter, was now struggling to beat the 10-second count, often doing so in a fraction of the second. This was way below his usual times and further fueled the idea that he was out of sorts. Indeed, Gatlin headed into the 2015 championships with seasonal bests of 9.74 seconds and 19.57 seconds for the 100 meter and 200 meter sprints. He was in better form and better shape. So what would happen when these two titans would meet in the 2015 showdown? The big day arrives. For Bolt, this was the first genuine challenge he had faced in years. Ever since his last major defeat in 2007, he had been more or less invincible since Beijing. This was comfortably the worst he had ever looked at such a high level in his career. When it matters, though, the Bolt becomes the GOAT. And on the 2nd of August 2015, Bolt decided that it was time to bring the thunder back. He arguably ran the best 100-meter race ever seen in the history of track and field athletics. Really, watch it for yourself here. This is the kind of thing that should really end all disputes about GOATs. Just watch. Did you see that? Usain, whilst challenged by Gatlin all the way, comes out looking pristine. Even his celebratory spirit afterwards showed the same burst, acceleration, and charisma that we associate with him. This was it. This was the moment. A season of smack talk, mostly from Gatlin. A season of coming in at best second. A season of watching Gatlin smash you to pieces and leave you in the dust most races. A season where your greatness could be gone forever, written off as an anomaly. Despite struggling, Bolt ran a time of 9.79 seconds. Despite being nowhere near his peak, despite suffering through injury and loss of form, he hit a 9.79 second run. Just think about that for a moment. And what came next? Bolt went on to achieve success in the 2016 Rio Olympics, winning the 100, the 200, and the 4x100 races. Not sure if Usain Bolt is the GOAT? Think again. In the clutch moments when it really mattered, he stepped up in a way that few, if any, athlete has in the history of the sport. So you want to see the GOAT? He's from Jamaica, and he's called Usain Bolt.
This video was brought to you by Runners Athletics, makers of the best running sunglasses for men and women, UV 400 polarized, anti-fog, ultra lightweight, and equipped with spring flex hinges. These sunglasses will race past the finish line while most other sunglasses fall short. Gear up for your next adventure at runnersathletics.com.